My name is Amelia, and I turned 28 that day. I work as a school janitor. I know some people hear that and think it means I didn't make it. Like I'm a before and after picture that never reached the after. But here's what I know. A clean school matters. It matters to the little boy who comes in hungry and still tries his best. It matters to the girl who hides in the bathroom to avoid bullies. It matters to teachers who stay late because they care too much. I clean floors, yes. But I also clean the space where children grow. And I'm proud of honest work. My husband, Ethan, is the quiet kind of good. Not flashy. Not loud. Just steady. He does odd jobs around town, repairs, small construction work, fixing broken gates, helping neighbors. He never complains about being tired. He never demands praise. He comes home, washes the dust off his hands, and asks me how my day was like. That question is the most important thing in the world. We don't have a lot. We live in a small house we're still paying off. The furniture doesn't match. The paint in the hallway needs touching up. Some months we count every bill twice. But we've always had peace. And I truly believed peace was the richest thing anyone could have. My younger sister, Vanessa, doesn't believe that. Vanessa married into money. The kind of money that makes people speak with confidence even when they're wrong. She lives in a beautiful place. Large rooms, white carpets, furniture that looks too expensive to sit on. She wears perfume that announces her before she enters a room. She talks about lifestyle and standards like those words are proof of success. Growing up, she was always the one people admired. The pretty one. The ambitious one. The one relatives bragged about. And me. I was the other daughter. The one who didn't go to college. The one who chose a simple life. The one who married a man who worked with his hands instead of wearing suits. I got used to the comparison so early that I almost stopped noticing it. Almost. 2 weeks before my birthday, Vanessa called me. Her voice was too sweet, soft like frosting, but you could taste something sharp underneath. Amelia, she said, I'm throwing you a birthday party. I froze with the phone in my hand. I was in the kitchen, packing lunch for the next day. A party. I repeated, because it sounded like she'd offered me a private jet. Yes, she said quickly. At your house. I want to do something nice. Something proper. Something proper. I should have heard the warning in that word. But my heart did the stupid thing hearts do. It hoped. You don't have to, I said. I insist, Vanessa replied. Invite no one. I'll handle the guest list. Just make your place look presentable. I smiled weakly, even though she couldn't see it. Okay, I whispered. After that call, I felt light for the first time in weeks. Maybe she wanted to reconnect. Maybe she'd finally grown up. Maybe she wanted to make me feel loved. So I prepared like someone who still believed family meant kindness. I bought a simple dress from a thrift store. It was navy blue with tiny flowers. It cost more than I should have spent, but when I put it on, I looked in the mirror and didn't hate what I saw. I spent the evenings making decorations by hand. Paper flowers. Streamers. A little sign with, Happy Birthday, written in neat letters. Ethan helped me hang them without laughing once. He held the tape in his mouth, stood on a chair to reach the corner, and smiled like he was proud of me. You look beautiful, he said when I tried the dress on. His eyes were warm and honest. This is going to be a good day, he promised. I wanted to believe him more than anything. The morning of my birthday, I woke up nervous. Not because of the party. Because of what the party meant. It meant someone cared enough to celebrate me. I cleaned the house twice. I fixed the streamers. I adjusted the little paper flowers. I baked a chocolate cake with vanilla frosting and wrote 28 on top in pink icing. It wasn't perfect. But it was mine. At 5 p.m., Vanessa arrived. And the second I saw her, my stomach sank. She stepped out of her car wearing a designer outfit that probably cost more than my rent. Her hair was flawless. Her nails were perfect. Behind her came 5 women, all dressed like they were attending a luxury event. Heels clicking, jewelry sparkling, handbags stiff and shiny. They looked at my house like they'd entered a different planet. Vanessa air-kissed my cheek. "Happy birthday, sis," she said, careful not to smudge her lipstick. Then she turned to her friends with a bright smile. "Ladies, this is Amelia." The way she said it, like I was a charity project, made my chest tighten. The women smiled politely, but their eyes were doing something else. Scanning, measuring, judging. One of them looked at my dress and let out a small laugh. Not loud enough to be called rude, but sharp enough to cut. "Oh," she said, "this is cute." Cute. The word people use when they want to insult you without getting blamed for it. I swallowed my humiliation and smiled anyway. "Come in," I said softly. I made snacks. Ethan stayed in the kitchen. Quiet, like he always is around company. But I could feel him watching everything. One of the women sat in my best chair without asking. "So, Amelia," she said, crossing her legs slowly. "Vanessa said you work at a school. Are you a teacher?" I held my chin up. "No," I said. "I'm a janitor." The silence after that was loud. Too loud. Then someone smirked. "How noble," another woman said, in that voice, like she was talking about a hobby, not a life. My cheeks burned. I glanced toward the kitchen again. Ethan's hands paused for half a second on the tray. He had heard. Vanessa clapped her hands like she was directing a show. "Okay," she said brightly. "Let's start. Amelia, show everyone your house." And just like that, my home became a stage. And I was about to find out what kind of party Vanessa really planned. Smile, Amelia. They're watching. Vanessa didn't just bring guests. She brought an audience. The second the women stepped fully into my living room, the temperature in my house changed. Like warmth itself got embarrassed and left. They didn't say anything outright at first. They didn't need to. The way they looked around did the damage. Their eyes moved slowly over my hand-me-down couch, the slightly faded curtains, the scratched coffee table Ethan and I had found at a yard sale and fixed ourselves. The blonde woman, Caroline, tilted her head like she was studying an exhibit. "Oh wow," she murmured. "It's cozy." Cozy wasn't a compliment. It was a word rich people use when they want to say small without sounding rude. I forced a smile. "Yes," I said. "It's home." Caroline's lips curled slightly. "How sweet." Vanessa stood near the center of the room like she owned the air. She clinked her glass lightly, not to make an announcement, just to remind everyone she was in charge. "Ladies," she said brightly, "let's make this fun. Amelia has worked so hard to put this together." I blinked. I worked so hard. As if she didn't just show up with people who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. I opened my mouth to respond, but one of the women, Brenda, was already drifting toward my decorations. She touched one of the paper flowers with her fingertip. "Did you make these?" she asked. Her tone was sugary, but her eyes were sharp. "Yes," I said softly. "I did." Brenda nodded like she was impressed by something tragic. "How creative," she said. Then she glanced at Vanessa like they shared the same joke. My stomach tightened. Vanessa smiled, pleased. She turned toward my kitchen. "Where's your husband?" she asked. I swallowed. "He's in the kitchen," I said. Ethan was quiet on purpose. He didn't enjoy crowds or judgmental people. He stayed out of conversations the way some people avoid storms, by stepping back and letting them pass. But I could feel him listening. Could feel him noticing details other people missed. The women moved deeper into my house as if they were touring it. Not politely, possessively. Monica sat in my best chair again, crossing her legs like she'd been waiting for permission that never came. Linda picked up a framed photo from our shelf and examined it. "That's cute," she said. "You guys look simple." Simple. That word kept showing up like a stain no one could wipe off. I tried to redirect. "Would anyone like something to drink?" I asked, voice too bright. Caroline waved her hand dismissively. "I'll take whatever," she said. "It's not like you have champagne." A laugh followed. Soft, practiced. I smiled anyway. Because that's what women like me learn early. Smile through it. Don't give them the satisfaction of seeing it hurt. Vanessa clapped her hands again. "Okay, Amelia," she announced. "Why don't you give them a tour?" It wasn't a request. It was a command disguised as a favor. My throat went dry. "A tour," I repeated. "Yes," she said. "Show them how you live." They're curious. Curious. Like my life was something exotic. I glanced toward the kitchen. Ethan was arranging crackers onto a plate, calm as stone. His eyes flicked toward mine. Not soft, not fearful. Steady. Like he was telling me, "I'm here. Keep going." So I did. I walked them through the house Ethan and I had built our love in. The hallway first. I kept my voice warm. "This is the living room, and..." Caroline brushed her fingers over the wall. "This paint is old," she noted. "It's fine," Brenda said, smiling. "It has character." Character. I bit down on the inside of my cheek. The kitchen. Vanessa's friends looked at my counters like they were judging a competition. "I love how minimal it is," Monica said. "Minimal." I repeated faintly. "You know," she continued. "Bare. Clean. Simple." I forced myself to nod. Then the bedroom hallway. I didn't want to show them this part. This part felt like crossing a line. But Vanessa was walking behind me like a chaperone. "Go on," she said. So I opened doors. Our bedroom. Our small guest room. The tiny bathroom. Every room was a reminder of what we couldn't afford. And the women weren't even trying to hide their amusement anymore. "This is adorable," Linda said, stepping into my guest room. "It's like a dollhouse." Caroline laughed. "A dollhouse for adults who never grew up," she added. Vanessa didn't stop them. She didn't defend me. She smiled. As if watching me shrink made her feel taller. When we returned to the living room, I felt hollow. Like my chest had become an empty room. Ethan stepped out of the kitchen with the snack tray. He moved carefully, silently, placing plates down, offering drinks. "Thank you," Monica said, not looking at him. Caroline watched him with a smirk. "So you really do odd jobs?" she asked. "Yes," Ethan answered calmly. "What kind?" Brenda pressed. "Whatever needs doing," he repeated. They laughed again. But this time, Ethan didn't flinch. He didn't even blink. He only nodded, like he was filing that sound away. Like every giggle had a place in his memory. Vanessa raised her voice. "Amelia," she called, "tell them about your job." My face burned. I looked at her. She was smiling too brightly. Too performative. Like she was excited to show off a weakness. I swallowed. "I work at the school," I said carefully. "I keep it clean." "Ah," Caroline interrupted. "That's so noble." Linda leaned forward. "Do you wear those cute little uniforms?" I wanted to disappear. Monica laughed quietly. "Imagine cleaning up after other people's kids all day." Vanessa giggled along with them. I felt something in my chest snap. Softly, invisibly. Not a scream. A crack. But I still smiled. Because if I didn't, I'd cry. And if I cried, they'd win. Ethan's eyes found mine again. His expression didn't change. But something in it hardened. Not anger. Control. As if he'd stopped hoping they'd behave. And started preparing for what comes after. Then it happened. The moment that pushed everything too far. The cake. I had been waiting for cake time like it was a lifeline. Because cake is universal. Cake is joy. Cake was supposed to be the part where everyone smiled, sang, and for 1 minute I could pretend I mattered. I carried it out carefully on my grandmother's cake stand. Chocolate with vanilla frosting. 28 in pink. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. I made this, I said softly, setting it down. Chocolate cake. Caroline stood up, walking over like she was inspecting merchandise. How sweet, she said. It's so homemade. She leaned closer. Too close. Her elbow brushed the cake stand. Time slowed. I watched her elbow hit the edge. Watched the stand wobble. Watched my cake tilt like it was giving up. And then it fell. Upside down. Frosting smearing across the floor in a messy, humiliating crash. I froze. For half a second, my brain refused to accept what my eyes were seeing. Then the room burst into sound. Oh my God. Caroline gasped. But she wasn't horrified. She was delighted. She covered her mouth with her hand, but her eyes were smiling. I'm so sorry, she said. Her voice was fake. Her apology was perfume. I dropped to my knees immediately, hands shaking, trying to save what I could. Vanilla frosting smeared across my fingers. Cake crumbs clung to my skin. I couldn't breathe. All those hours. All that effort. All that love. Destroyed in 2 seconds. And I didn't even get to be angry because everyone was watching. Brenda crouched halfway, like she might help, but didn't. Oh honey, she said. Don't worry. We can just order a real cake. A real cake. Like mine was pretend. Like my hands and love were worthless. My eyes stung. I swallowed hard, trying not to cry in front of them. But then Vanessa stood. Wine glass raised. Smile bright. This is perfect timing, she said. I looked up from the floor, frosting on my fingers. Perfect timing? My heart started beating too fast. Vanessa cleared her throat like she was about to give a speech at an award ceremony. I want to toast my sister, she announced. Everyone turned toward her. My knees stayed on the floor. No one helped me up. No one cared. Vanessa began. Amelia has always been different. Her voice dripped sweetness. But sweetness can be poison when it's aimed. While some of us worked hard, built careers, created a life we can be proud of. She paused. Amelia chose a simpler path. The women chuckled politely. Vanessa continued like she didn't hear them. She's always been happy with less. A small house. A simple job. A quiet life. I felt like I was being peeled open. Some might call it settling, Vanessa said. Then she smiled and delivered the knife. But I call it accepting your limitations. The laughter this time was uncomfortable. But it existed. That was enough. My throat closed. I wanted to stand. To stop her. To tell her she was cruel. But my body wouldn't move. It was like humiliation had turned my bones into stone. Vanessa gestured toward my decorations. Look at these, she said, voice bright. Handmade. So much effort. She gestured toward the cake on the floor like it was a prop. And this cake. Oh, Amelia really tries, doesn't she? Even if it doesn't quite measure up. It was quiet for a moment. Then one of the women laughed. Not loud. Just enough. Vanessa smiled wider. She means well, Vanessa continued. She doesn't know any better. My lungs stopped working. My own sister. My birthday. My house. And I was the joke. The women nodded like they were watching a documentary about poor people. Vanessa raised her glass higher. So here's to Amelia, she said, who reminds us all to be grateful. To never take our blessings for granted. They drank. They drank to my humiliation. To my limitations. to my life as an example of what not to become. That was the moment my body finally moved. Not with strength. With panic. I stood up so fast the room tilted. I didn't say anything. Because if I did, I would have screamed. I ran to my bedroom and shut the door. The second it closed, I collapsed onto the bed. I sobbed so hard my chest hurt. This was supposed to be my day. I wasn't asking for diamonds. I wasn't asking for luxury. Just love. Respect. Basic human dignity. And my own sister had taken that from me in front of strangers. I covered my face with my hands, shaking. Then the door opened quietly. Ethan stepped in. He sat beside me slowly, carefully, like he didn't want to startle me. And then he pulled me into his arms. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. His voice wasn't weak. It was controlled. Like he was holding rage behind his ribs and refusing to let it touch me. "I'm so sorry they're treating you like this." I cried into his shirt. "Maybe they're right," I choked out. "Maybe I really am nothing. Maybe I..." Ethan tightened his arms. "Don't you dare," he said firmly. I looked up. His eyes were different now. Not gentle. Focused. "You are the best person in that room," he said. "You work hard. You love deeply. You build joy with your own hands. They don't deserve to stand in your home." My breath shook. Then Ethan's phone rang. I was about to tell him to ignore it, but he glanced at the screen, and his face changed. He stood. "I have to take this," he said. His tone wasn't apologetic. It was official. He stepped into the corner of the room. "Hello," he said. "Yes, Mr. Patterson." I froze. "Mr. Patterson?" Ethan continued. "No, the acquisition can wait until Monday." "Yes. I'll review the contracts then." Acquisition. Contracts. Review. That wasn't handyman talk. My tears stopped mid-fall. Ethan ended the call and turned to me. I stared at him like he was suddenly a stranger. "Who was that?" I whispered. He walked back toward me slowly. His face softened for a second, love and sadness in the same breath. "Amelia," he said quietly. My throat tightened. "I need to tell you something I should have told you a long time ago." I sat up straighter, my heart pounding. "What?" I asked. Ethan swallowed. "I'm not who your sister thinks I am," he said. My breath caught. "I mean, I'm still the same man who loves you," he added quickly. "But there's a part of me I kept hidden because I was afraid." "Afraid of what?" I whispered. Ethan knelt in front of me like the truth was heavy enough to deserve that posture. "Afraid you'd love me differently," he said. "Afraid money would poison what we have." My head spun. "What are you talking about?" Ethan exhaled. Then said the words that made my whole world tilt. "I'm the chairman of Mitchell Holdings." I stared. He continued, voice low. "I own most of the commercial real estate in this city. I'm worth billions." I blinked. Once. Twice. My brain refused it. "No," I whispered. Ethan's eyes didn't flinch. "Yes," he said. I felt like I was falling. My husband. My quiet husband who fixed fences and carried groceries. A billionaire? How? Why? My voice broke. "Because I grew up poor," he said softly. "When I made my first money, I swore I would never forget who I was. I wanted a real life. Real love. And then I met you." He touched my hand gently. "You loved me when you thought I had nothing," he whispered. "That was everything." My chest hurt. "So, Vanessa's husband?" I managed. Ethan nodded. "He works for one of my companies," Ethan said. "So do most of the husbands of the women in that living room." I stared at him. "Then they've been mocking." My voice shook. "They've been humiliating the wife of the man who controls their careers," Ethan finished calmly. My stomach twisted. Ethan reached into his pocket and showed me his phone. My breath caught. Photos. Videos. Recordings. Caroline knocking the cake. Vanessa's speech. Their whispers. Their laughs. Their insults. He had documented everything. Not for revenge. For evidence. What are you going to do? I whispered. Ethan smiled. But it wasn't his gentle smile. It was calm. Cold. Controlled. He took my hand. I'm going to give you the birthday gift you deserve, he said. He helped me stand. Come on, he whispered. We walked back to the living room. The women were still laughing, still touching my things, still talking like my home was a joke. Vanessa looked up first. Oh good, she said brightly. You're back. We were just. Ethan's voice cut through the room, soft but sharp. Ladies. They turned. Something in his tone made them quiet. Ethan lifted his phone. I've been here the whole time, he said calmly. Watching. Recording. Caroline blinked. Recording what? Ethan scrolled, then turned the screen toward them. This, he said. Photos appeared. Caroline's smirk over the decorations. Brenda's laugh. Vanessa's speech. The cake fall. Captured perfectly. Their faces shifted. Confusion first, then discomfort. What is this? Monica snapped. Ethan's eyes were steady. Documentation, he said. Vanessa's smile faltered. Ethan, she laughed nervously. What are you doing? Ethan looked at her. Then looked at all of them. And said the sentence that froze the air. I'm thinking of sending these to people who might find them interesting. They stared at him. Ethan smiled faintly. Your husband's law firm, he said, looking at Caroline. Your husband's accounting practice, he said to Monica. Your family business, he said to Linda. The color drained from their faces. Vanessa whispered, barely audible. That's not funny. Ethan stepped forward one calm step. It's not, he agreed. And then, he turned to me, placed his hand on mine, and said clearly, this is my wife. The room went dead silent. Not awkward silence. Fear silence. The kind that happens when people realize they've insulted the wrong person. And I stood there, still in my simple dress, watching their world begin to collapse. The moment Ethan said, my wife, the room didn't just go quiet. It went cold. Like the air suddenly understood it had been used to carry cruelty. And didn't want to anymore. Caroline's smile froze halfway. Brenda's wine glass paused mid-air. Monica's confident posture stiffened, like she'd just realized she was sitting too comfortably in a chair that wasn't hers. Vanessa blinked twice, fast, like she was trying to reset the moment. Okay. She laughed nervously. Ethan, what is this? Are you trying to scare people? Ethan didn't answer her right away. He kept his phone in his hand, screen glowing softly, like it was the only light that mattered. He looked at them one by one. Not angry. Not dramatic. Measured. It was the kind of look you give when you're deciding whether someone deserves mercy. Then he spoke calmly. I've been watching all evening, he said. I heard every comment. Every laugh. Every whisper. Caroline swallowed. We were just joking. Ethan tilted his head slightly. Joking, he repeated. He scrolled and held up a video. Vanessa's speech played, her voice sweet and sharp, the words limitations, and doesn't know any better, cutting through the room like blades. The women flinched as they heard it back. Vanessa's face turned pale. Turn that off, she hissed. Ethan didn't. He let it run for 3 seconds longer than necessary. Then he locked the screen. What you did tonight, Ethan said, wasn't humor. He looked at Caroline. You destroyed my wife's cake. His gaze moved to Brenda. You called her effort fake. Then Monica. You mocked her job. Then Linda. You touched her belongings like you were visiting an exhibit. Finally. Vanessa. And you, he said quietly, stood in her home and turned her birthday into a humiliation show. Vanessa's jaw trembled. I didn't mean, she started. Ethan raised a hand. Just one. It wasn't a threat. It was authority. And Vanessa stopped talking immediately. That's when I realized something that made my chest tighten in a new way. Vanessa had never seen Ethan like this. I hadn't either. The Ethan I knew came home tired, kissed my forehead, and asked if I ate dinner. The man standing in front of them wasn't different. He was uncovered. Caroline cleared her throat, trying to regain control. Listen, she said, forcing a laugh. This is a misunderstanding. We didn't know. That's the point, Ethan interrupted. His voice never rose. But somehow it got louder anyway. You didn't know my name. You didn't know my position. You didn't know what I own. He stepped forward. But you still felt comfortable treating her like she was less. Silence. I felt my hands shaking. Not from fear anymore. From the shock of finally being defended. For so long, I'd swallowed disrespect like it was part of breathing. And now, the man I loved was holding their cruelty in front of them like evidence in a courtroom. Monica's voice cracked slightly. Mitchell Holdings, that's. Ethan nodded. Yes, he said. Mitchell Holdings. Caroline's face strained. That's impossible, she whispered. Mitchell Holdings is owned by some reclusive billionaire. Ethan didn't even blink. I'm not reclusive, he said. I'm private. Then he looked at the room like he was about to end the conversation with one sentence. Ethan Mitchell, he said simply. The silence that followed was so deep I could hear the soft hum of my refrigerator. Brenda's wine glass trembled in her fingers. Linda's lips parted, but no sound came out. Vanessa looked like she might faint. You're lying, Caroline whispered, but her voice didn't carry conviction. It carried panic. Ethan walked closer, not aggressive, not rushed. Controlled. I live simply by choice, he said. I work with my hands because I like it. I stay out of public because I don't need attention. Then he turned to me, took my hand, and held it like it mattered. But the one thing I will never allow, he said, is anyone treating my wife like she doesn't matter. My throat tightened. Vanessa's voice finally broke free. Ethan, please, she whispered. You're overreacting. Ethan looked at her like she was something unfamiliar. Overreacting, he repeated softly. He lifted his phone again. I have videos of your friends calling Amelia pathetic, he said. My stomach twisted hearing the word again. Pathetic. Ethan continued. I have recordings of them laughing at her dress, mocking her home, insulting her job. He stepped closer to Vanessa. And I have your speech, he said. The one where you called your own sister a limitation. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears, but it didn't look like regret yet. It looked like fear. Ryan, Ethan, please, Caroline stammered. We didn't know she was. Ethan's gaze snapped to her. Don't, he said. Caroline froze. Don't reduce her value to who she's married to, Ethan continued. His tone sharpened slightly. She was valuable before you walked into this house. She was valuable when you thought she had nothing. She will be valuable when you leave. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. Because no one had ever said that about me in front of people who wanted to shrink me. Ethan turned back to the group. Now, he said calmly, let's talk consequences. The word consequences made the room shift. Brenda tried to smile again. Consequences? Ethan, come on, it was just. No, Ethan cut in. He didn't raise his voice. But Brenda shut up instantly. Ethan began naming them one by one, like he'd memorized their entire lives. Caroline, he said. Your husband's law firm leases 2 floors in one of my buildings. That lease is up for renewal. Caroline's face went white. Ethan looked at Monica. Your husband's accounting practice has one major client keeping it afloat. That client is mine. Monica's eyes widened. Ethan turned to Linda. Your family business has been chasing a commercial loan for months. That loan sits under my company's review. Linda let out a small sound. Half gasp, half sob. Brenda backed up a step. My husband doesn't, she started. Ethan's gaze landed on her. Your husband's company has been begging for the downtown development project, Ethan said. The one that changes his entire financial future. Brenda's knees looked weak. Then Ethan turned toward Vanessa. And that was different. His voice lowered. Vanessa, he said. Your husband works for Peterson Clark and Associates. Vanessa nodded frantically, desperate. Ethan continued. That firm, he said, is a subsidiary under my corporate umbrella. Vanessa's tears spilled. I didn't know, she sobbed. I swear I didn't know. Ethan leaned slightly forward. But you knew Amelia, he said. Vanessa flinched like he slapped her. You knew her heart, Ethan added. You knew she's kind. You knew she works hard. Vanessa tried to speak. Ethan didn't let her. And you still chose to humiliate her, he finished. Caroline started crying openly. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. Ethan looked at her, calm as stone. Sorry you did it, he asked, or sorry you got caught? Caroline's sobs grew louder. Monica shook her head. This is insane. You can't. Ethan's eyes flicked to her. I can, he said simply. And I will. I should have felt satisfied. I should have felt triumphant. But I didn't. I felt tired. Because watching people crumble doesn't erase what they did. It only proves they always knew it was wrong. My hands tightened around Ethan's. Ethan, I whispered. Can I say something? He turned instantly, gentleness returning just for me. Of course, he said. The women turned toward me, stunned like they'd forgotten I had a voice. I stepped forward. My heart hammered. My cheeks were still hot from crying. But my voice surprised me. It didn't shake. I want you to understand something, I said quietly. Caroline sniffed. Mascara running. Vanessa's face crumpled. I looked at each of them. I forgive you, I said. Their heads snapped up. Not because they deserved forgiveness, but because I refused to let their cruelty stay inside me like poison. I continued. I forgive you, I repeated, because anger would destroy me long before it destroys you. Vanessa sobbed harder. But, I added, voice strengthening, forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. The room stiffened. I took a breath. I am not less than you because I work with my hands, I said. I am not less than you because I live in a small house. I glanced at my decorations. Paper flowers I made with love. I am not less than you because I bake my own cake, I continued, looking at the mess still on the floor. My throat tightened for a second. But I didn't stop. My worth isn't measured by my bank account or my clothes, I said. My worth is measured by my heart. The women stared. Vanessa's shoulders shook. I turned to her. My sister. And I am not your charity case, I said. Vanessa let out a broken sound. I stepped closer. I'm not your example of what not to be, I continued. I'm your sister. I paused. And I deserved better from you. Vanessa dropped her wine glass onto the table with shaking hands. Amelia, she cried. I'm sorry. I don't know why I was trying to impress them and you threw me under the bus, I finished. Vanessa nodded, sobbing. I held her gaze. Good, I said quietly. You should be ashamed. The words weren't cruel. They were true. Ethan's arm wrapped around my shoulders. Then he looked at the room. Ladies, he said calmly, this party is over. No yelling. No drama. Just final. You can see yourselves out. The women scrambled for their bags like they'd been burned. One by one, they left, faces pale, eyes down. At the door, Caroline hesitated and turned back. Her voice was small now. "Amelia," she whispered. "Your cake looked delicious, and your decorations were beautiful." I blinked. She swallowed. "They were made with love," she added. "Money can't buy that." I held her gaze for a moment. Then I nodded once. "Thank you," I said. "That means more than you think." She left. When the door finally closed, silence filled the house again. But it wasn't humiliation silence. It was aftermath. Vanessa sank onto the couch and sobbed into her hands. "I ruined everything," she whispered. "My marriage, my reputation." Ethan stood across from her, calm and towering. "You ruined tonight," he said. "But you can fix the rest if you choose to change." Vanessa looked up, mascara streaked, face swollen. "I was jealous," she admitted. "I've always been jealous." I stared at her. Vanessa's voice cracked. "You're happy," she sobbed. "You're content with what you have. And I have everything I thought I wanted, but I'm miserable." Her words hit me harder than I expected. "I thought if I made you feel small," she whispered, "it would make me feel bigger." My heart twisted. Because despite everything, she was still my sister. And I could see the emptiness behind her cruelty. I sat down across from her. "I've been jealous too," I admitted softly. Vanessa looked up. "I thought you had the perfect life," I said. "The perfect house. The perfect image." Vanessa let out a shaky laugh. "I have perfect stuff," she whispered. "But I don't have joy." We talked for a long time, really talked. The kind of conversation we should have had years ago. Vanessa apologized until her voice went hoarse. And for the first time, her apology didn't feel like performance. It felt like truth. When she finally left, it was late. The house was messy. Cake on the floor. Streamers slightly torn. Decorations crooked. But Ethan and I stayed. We sat in the living room, surrounded by handmade proof of my love. Ethan took my hand. "I'm sorry I hid the money," he said quietly. I looked at him. My husband, the man I thought I knew completely. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. He swallowed. "Because I've seen what money does to people," he admitted. "I've seen marriages break. Families destroy each other." He squeezed my hand. "When I met you," he said, "you loved me when you thought I had nothing. I didn't want to risk changing that." Tears filled my eyes again, but these were different. "You couldn't change it," I whispered. "Money doesn't change hearts." Ethan smiled softly. "I know that now," he said. He brushed my hair back gently. "So," he asked, "what do you want to do with everything?" I looked around our small home. At the hand-me-down furniture. At the paper decorations. At the imperfect life we built with love. "I want to stay right here," I said. Ethan blinked. "This is our home," I continued. "This is where our love grew." Then I swallowed. "But maybe," I added, "we could help other people. Scholarships. School programs. Working families." Ethan's eyes warmed. "I love you," he whispered. "I love you too," I said. And then, in the quiet of our living room, we slow danced. No music. Just the sound of our hearts beating together. My birthday had started as the worst day of my life. But it ended with the truth. I was never pathetic. I was never less. I was loved. And that love finally defended me. The next morning, my house looked like a storm had passed through it. Paper flowers drooped slightly from the walls. Streamers hung unevenly. A faint smell of frosting still lingered in the air, like sweetness trying to cover pain. The cake mess had been cleaned, but I kept seeing it anyway. The moment it hit the floor, the moment my heart hit the floor with it. Ethan woke up early. He didn't say much at breakfast. Not because he was angry. Because he was focused. When someone like Ethan decides something, it becomes quiet and unstoppable. I sat at the kitchen table holding my coffee, watching him tie his watch like he was preparing for a meeting I couldn't see. "Are you really going to do it?" I asked softly. Ethan looked at me. I saw the gentleness there again. My husband, my safe place. "Yes," he said calmly. "But not because of revenge." I exhaled. "Then why?" I whispered. Ethan leaned down and kissed my forehead. "Because people like them don't change when they feel guilt," he said. "They change when they feel consequences." The word consequences sat heavy between us. He wasn't wrong. But I still felt strange. Because a part of me had always believed kindness was enough. By 9 a.m., Ethan's phone was already buzzing. Not from friends. Not from family. From people with titles. People who didn't speak unless something mattered. He stepped outside to take the call, and even from inside the house, I could hear the tone shift in his voice. Firm, businesslike, controlled. "Yes," he said. "No, I don't want excuses. Correct it. Now." Then he came back in like the calls were only check marks. He sat beside me. "I don't want you to be scared today," he said quietly. I swallowed. "Scared of what?" I asked. Ethan held my hand. "Scared of realizing how much power really changes the room," he replied. "It can feel ugly." I nodded slowly. Because I already understood. Last night, I watched people apologize with trembling lips. Not because they'd suddenly developed hearts, but because the ground beneath them had moved. That was power. And I didn't know how to feel about holding it. At 10:15, my phone rang. Vanessa. I stared at her name for a long moment before answering. "Hello," I said. Her voice was raw. "Amelia," she whispered, like saying my name hurt. "Can we talk?" I shut my eyes. "I'm listening," I said. Vanessa's breath shook. "My husband, he got called in this morning," she said. "To the office. He's furious. He's blaming me." I stayed silent. She swallowed hard. "I didn't sleep," she admitted. "I've been replaying everything. I can't believe I did that to you." Her voice cracked. "I can't believe I made your birthday into that." I squeezed the phone tighter. "Why?" I asked. It came out sharper than I intended. Vanessa's silence on the other end felt heavy. Finally, she whispered the truth. "Because I wanted to feel powerful," she said. "I wanted to feel like I mattered." My chest tightened. "You always mattered," I said quietly. Vanessa sobbed softly. "I didn't feel like it," she replied. "Not with them. Around them I'm always proving myself. Always trying to keep up." Then her voice dropped even lower. "And you," she whispered. "You never tried. You were just you. Content. Peaceful. Loved." The jealousy in her confession was ugly, but honest. "So you humiliated me," I said. Vanessa cried harder. "Yes," she admitted. "Because it was the only time I felt bigger." I leaned back against the kitchen chair. "What do you want from me now?" I asked. Vanessa inhaled like she was about to walk into fire. "I want a chance," she whispered. "Not to be forgiven instantly. Not to pretend it didn't happen." Her voice shook. "I want a chance to earn being your sister again." I didn't answer right away. Forgiveness isn't a light switch. It's a bridge. And bridges take time to rebuild. "I don't know," I said honestly. "I'm still hurt." "I know," she whispered. "And I deserve that." For the first time in a long time, she sounded like she understood what consequences really meant. After we hung up, I sat there staring at my coffee until it went cold. Ethan came back in. "How was she?" he asked. "Broken," I said. Ethan nodded. Sometimes people need to break, he replied quietly, before they become real. At noon, Ethan's assistant, someone I didn't even know existed, delivered a thin folder to our door. Inside were printed emails, notices, official documents. Ethan sat with me and went through them calmly. Caroline's husband's law firm had received a notice about lease renewal. Terms changed. Conditions tightened. A review initiated. Monica's husband's firm had been informed the contract would be re-evaluated. That word meant panic in their world. Linda's family loan application had been marked denied pending ethical review. Brenda's husband's downtown project bid had been removed from consideration due to reputational risk. It was like watching dominoes fall. But no one could argue. Because Ethan wasn't punishing them for being poor. He was punishing them for being cruel. And cruelty always has a cost. It just usually gets paid by the wrong people. This time, it wasn't. At 2:40, my phone rang again. A number I didn't recognize. I hesitated. Then answered. Hello. A woman's voice. Tight. Controlled. Familiar. It was Caroline. Amelia, she said. I didn't respond. She swallowed hard. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know it doesn't matter now. I know you don't owe me anything. She paused. I keep thinking about your face when the cake fell. My throat tightened. Caroline continued. I've been that girl, she said quietly. The one who got laughed at before I married into status. And the second I had power, I used it to hurt someone else so I'd never feel weak again. Her honesty surprised me. Not enough to erase it, but enough to make it real. I'm not calling for pity, Caroline said. I'm calling because I needed to say it without excuses. I exhaled slowly. Thank you, I said quietly. But it doesn't undo what you did. I know, she whispered. I just wanted you to hear the truth. Then she hung up. I sat there stunned. Not at her apology. At how quickly power can turn pain into cruelty, if you let it. Later that evening, Ethan and I went for a walk. Just down our street. Nothing fancy. But the world felt different. Like I was seeing it with eyes that finally understood something deep. Money doesn't make people better. It makes them louder. It turns their hidden beliefs into actions. And it revealed the truth about everyone in that room. Ethan stopped beneath a streetlight and turned to me. Do you regret it? He asked. I stared at him. Regret what? Letting them face consequences, he said. I thought about it. Then shook my head. No, I said firmly. I regret that it took consequences for them to see me as human. Ethan nodded. That's the real tragedy, he said. The next day, Vanessa came to my school. Not to show off. Not to perform. She came wearing simple clothes, no jewelry glittering, no dramatic makeup. She stood outside the janitor's closet, hands clasped tightly like she was nervous. When I saw her, I froze. She looked smaller than she ever had. Amelia, she said quietly. The hallway smelled like disinfectant and chalk. Kids' laughter echoed down the corridor. Vanessa looked around. This is where you work, she whispered. Yes, I said. She swallowed. It's important, she admitted, eyes filling. You're important. I didn't know what to say. Vanessa stepped closer. I'm volunteering, she said quickly. If the principal allows it. I want to help. I want to do something real. I watched her face. This didn't feel like a performance. It felt like a woman trying to become someone she could respect. I'll talk to the principal, I said finally. Vanessa nodded like that meant everything. As she turned to leave, she paused. You didn't deserve that night, she said softly. You never did. She walked away. And for the first time, her shadow didn't feel like it was chasing me. It felt like it was leaving. That night, Ethan and I sat in our living room. Our small living room. Handmade decorations still hanging slightly crooked. And for the first time, the house didn't feel small. It felt sacred. Ethan took my hand. "I want you to promise me something," he said. "What?" I asked. He looked at me. "Never let them make you feel small again," he said softly. "Not Vanessa. Not her friends. Not anyone." My throat tightened. "I promise," I whispered. Ethan smiled, gentle again. "Happy birthday, my love," he said. And in that moment, I realized. The best gift wasn't Ethan's money. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't seeing cruel people crumble. The best gift was this. Knowing my worth had always been real. Even when no one clapped for it.